Celebrate good times. Come on. We're going to party over here. Yeah. Woo-hoo. Welcome to the Stay Hot podcast. I wasn't expecting to come on tonight, but I'm glad I am. And we may just make it a show that's unforgettable. Now, got a few things we need to say first. First of all, let Mark Pope cook. Second of all, we told you days ago that Mom Chilovich was a Kentucky Wildcat. Now, it took a little bit later to announce than normal. And there's a lot of people out there speculating to why that is. Everything I've heard relates to JMI, the wording in the contract, things like that. But I don't even care about that right now. I don't even care about the figures right now. I don't care about any of that. Okay? All I care about is the moment we've talked about for weeks that seems so far away, it's finally here. Now, it looks like I'm going to have to take this hat off, partners. Seems like it's messing with the background. Milan Momchilovich is the man. And he's chosen to play for the Cats, which, you know, we've thought for some time. We've talked about it the last show that he'd already committed. And I still believe that to be true. All the smoke you heard this past weekend from Louisville fans, Iowa State fans, even some Arizona scuttlebutt that they were back in the mix, that was just all that was, smoke and mirrors. That was nothing more than for people to try to troll BBN, to try to get the BBN pissed off at their own, and it worked in some instances. It worked in some cases. I had people sending me hate mail because me and Crash had said the last show that he'd already committed to Kentucky and that he'd signed the papers. I still believe that to be true. We never said he was announcing that night. I did say he'd probably announce over the weekend because that's what he had said. He also had said he wanted it to be quick. I never dreamed it would be Monday. However, I don't care when it happened, as long as it would happen. You know, and when I went back at the guy and said, you know, has he committed anywhere yet? He just told me not to get pissy with him or whatever and said he really liked me, but he couldn't listen to the show anymore because we kind of rage baited the Kentucky fan base. If you feel like you were rage baited by me or Crash and what we had heard, and here's the thing, I didn't hear that from just Crash. I heard that before Crash said it. I heard it after Crash said it from multiple people. A lot of the Kentucky fan base, a lot of the Kentucky media, a lot of different people had heard the same thing. I wouldn't say if I only heard something from one person. That's just not the way it is. I might put it back on the show. Mercury, he is already committed. He is a Cat. Toddcast, I know you felt rage baited. You had contacted me several times about it. I apologize that you feel rage baited, but let's let bygones be bygones, and let's unite behind the fact that Milan Momchilovich is a Kentucky Wildcat. He just said a few minutes ago, he's actually tweeted it himself, Mercury. He actually tweeted it out that he was committed, but you can find it on Twitter, Facebook, anywhere. On3 has tweeted it out. Pretty much everybody. It's a big deal. I texted Jimmy Jam because I thought he was going to come on with me, but it may be a little late, and I don't know how long I'm going to stay on. But Jimmy Jam's definitely going to be on a show with me sometime here in the near future. But cheers to everybody that's celebrating. But I want to say something else real quick. It's legit. Kevin, we're not bringing any kind of negativity in here. People in the Big Blue Nation are going to find something to whine about. There's probably somebody whining about now, but this isn't the place for that. We're not going to talk about the whine, and we're going to sit here and we're just going to celebrate the fact we may crap on a few of the other fan bases, but we're not going to worry about the people whining. If they're whining over good news like this, then they're not true members of BBN, and we just need to go ahead and boot them out. But let me show you all something a lot of people don't know. I'm guilty of this as well as probably a lot of people in this chat. We've all criticized Mark Pope at some point in time this offseason for his whiffs, for the poor offseason that Kentucky's had, for all the misses. But let me put this on the stage here. Let me show you all this. Look at this. Mark Pope Kentucky is the only program in the country that has signed 3 transfers that have a 95 or higher ranking. All 3 of these guys have a 95 or higher ranking. And Kentucky is the only team in the country that have signed 3 transfers from the portal with a 95 or higher ranking. So tell me, was Kentucky's offseason all that bad? Was Kentucky's offseason all that bad? We can't add Malachi to this list, Peanut, because he wasn't a transfer. These are just transfer people from the portal. All right. So I was one of the first ones to say that I thought Pope had a bad one. But, if Malachi was a transfer, you could absolutely add him to this list. He would have been a top 5 portal or player in the portal. But all that nonsense from this past weekend, that just shows you what kind of sad fan base Louisville is. Knowing they couldn't, they knew they weren't going to land him, so they took shots at Kentucky. I knew when all that started happened, that was all smoke and mirrors. Crash, he definitely helped us. I was taking some hardcore shots for me and you from our last show. People were coming at my throat. They were coming at my neck. All right. But we're back out of the abyss. But, once I saw the picture of Mark Pope relaxing on the beach, I felt pretty comfortable. All right. I felt pretty comfortable. Then, what got him fired up again today was when the visit with class of 27 Ryan Hampton. When that started, they said, "Oh, Kentucky's pivoting. But you got to think about it. The last time something like that happened that was put out was the McBride commitment during the Stokes recruitment. So when that was put out, it was all it was a pivot. It was. But this day, today, I knew that wasn't a pivot just for the simple fact that Hampton had already told the media, he'd already announced that he was basically staying in the class of 27. And I think that's great news for Kentucky because they had already said that if he was in the class of 26, they probably wouldn't fill a roster spot for him. So I think that's good for Kentucky. I think he'd be a great person to start the class of 27 off with. Go ahead and get you a wing that can score the ball. That's possible too, Peanut. I didn't hear that, but that makes a lot of sense. But, and something I'd heard a few days ago that I didn't really say out loud because I didn't know the truth. But one of the things I'd heard was that there for a brief few minutes, maybe there for a brief time, it was said that Iowa State was back in the mix. I never really believed that, just for the simple fact that Iowa State had already kind of put out a just that statement. I think their coach put out, thanking him for his time in Iowa State and everything he did. But I'd also kind of heard at the same time that Iowa State wasn't a legit option because I think there was some kind of agreement between Milan and Iowa State that he wouldn't go to Arizona or wouldn't go to anybody in that conference. So, I'd say a lot of the Louisville fans are upset. I don't know how many of them truly thought they were in it or had a legit chance, because a lot of their national media or the people that follow Louisville never really said that it was as close as what others led you to believe. At no point in time do I really think it was ever neck and neck. I truly do believe that it's been all Kentucky for a while. They just had some logistics to kind of work out. Fuller wets the bed. I won't. And also heard there could have been some logistics and some verbiage or language in the JMI contract that may have taken a minute to work out. But, after the last 2 days of the baseball regional, last night was absolutely brutal. If you're a Kentucky baseball fan, it was almost some like little league stuff, like little league things that happened that caused teams at Little League to lose a game in the last inning. Not being able to find a strike zone, walking batters, errors. It just seemed like, it was a snowball effect. And the one thing that I thought about immediately was once you lose a game like that, it's hard to get back up for game number 2. That when you got to play them again, you were what, 2 outs away from advancing. And not only that, but their bracket had opened up. They were going to play like Cal Poly, I think. There were a lot of and they were going to be able to host the Super Regional. So after that, then the Cats, they battled hard tonight, went into extra innings, could not pull it out. So therefore, the season's over. So I felt like a lot of Big Blue Nation needed some positive news in the worst way. And Mom Chilovich answered the call. So, we still do have a roster spot available. I don't know what Pope's plans are for that. I would assume he tries to fill it. It's going to be a project, I would assume, probably with maybe somebody from overseas. If not, they may not fill it at all. I don't really know what Pope's plans are. It's probably something we may hear in the next few days. We may not hear any Kentucky basketball news the next couple of days or so to kind of let all this soak in. But I don't really know what's going to happen as far as that goes. But no, Chris, I won't ban you tonight, man. We're partying. Yeah, Larry, I did see Hawthorne and Cam Williams' dad on Big Mike's show last night. I watched it. They did seem pretty confident before the Momchilovich signing. with the team. They really like the team. Those are two good guys that are fun to listen to. You can tell that they really do like Mark Pope. They really do like Kentucky. And I think those are two good ambassadors for the program. And anytime they're on a show, I enjoy listening to them and just what they have to say. But yeah, I heard that and I watched most of that interview. Some people are asking about Mingione. I'll be honest with you. I don't know what his, I like Mingione as a person. I think he's a great guy. He did take us to Omaha several years ago. If we do get rid of him, I'm not 100% sure what who we can get that's any better. So I'm not for sure what the plan is. I'm not going to talk much about Jamal Crawford because that's all speculation right now. I don't know what his plans are. He did a really good job covering the Western Conference Finals. That's on him. I mean, we can sit here and talk about it all day, and we're not going to know anything. So, I haven't heard any potential teams for Gonzaga. I do know that Pope wants to get us in those early season tournaments. I do know that Pope wants to maybe somehow he wants to do like maybe a year, home and home with St. John's and Patino. I don't know if he wants to always do it in Madison Square Gardens because, of course, that would be St. John's. That's where they play their home games, I believe. That Blue Bloods, I don't think that's taken. That's not really been set in stone, Brian. That was just all. That was just all kind of like put out there as a possibility. I don't even know if that tournament's legit, but it's something that's, I guess, a possibility. I don't know if that's even. I don't even know if that's an actual tournament or just somebody that was putting that out there, something they would like to see happen. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, that would be something that would be really cool. I would love to see Kentucky go back to Maui. If you remember, I think it was Maui where Jeff Brasso had that tip in against Arizona. I love it. I absolutely love it. If you all follow Mark Pope on Twitter, he's got a picture of him at the beach, I believe. He just posted 13 minutes ago. He seems to be on the phone. I can't put it up here because there's probably copyrighted music. So I'm not going to get banned on this kind of night where we got such good news. The ceiling is high. I'm not going to lie, but I don't think it's fair to put 40-0 on this team. Sometimes we get excited, we get too excited, we immediately go straight to the 40-0. This team's winning number 9, SEC champs. I do think we're a top. Well, the latest batch of top 25 rankings came out today, and Kentucky wasn't in any of them. I think Kentucky will definitely be in the next one, probably up around the 15 mark. They're not going to want to put Kentucky too high for whatever reason. I think if we're not a Sweet 16 team right now, then there's issues. It's got to be Sweet 16 at least. But I definitely think we're in the top upper echelon of the SEC now. I just don't think people realize just how you can add somebody like Momcilovic who can space the floor like he can, how that opens up things for everybody else. I'm not going to sit here and speculate starting lineups because every time I do, I leave somebody out. The only things I'm probably 100% certain on is Momcilovic, Zoom, and probably Marino. I think Wilkins 2 and Cam probably would be my 5, but I would hope, when I say top 4, I'm reaching there. I'm hoping for a double bye, but like as Bradley says, the SEC as it was last year is loaded. But last night on Big Mike's show, when they were talking about Momcilovic being a sniper, it was kind of funny because, Hawthorne looked kind of pointed at Cam Williams' dad and kind of said, we already got a sniper. Cam's a sniper. And I think Cam showed signs last year of him being able to knock down that open 3. And when you can put floor spacers all around, not going to be able to double Marino, not going to be able to help off on drives from Zoom or Wilkins. If they do help off, you got kicks. It just opens up a world of things on offense when you got floor spacers. It also, as we saw this year, it's the and I understand that. I completely understand that take. Really do. I don't want to say guaranteed Final Four stuff because I know that puts, that's just not probably necessarily true when it comes to that. But, do I think we're capable of reaching a Final Four? Absolutely, 100%. And if I had to guess, I would say this is my starting 5 as well. If I had to guess right now, but like I said, I don't like to do that because once again, you got a few guys, Hawthorne, Njai. I think we're going to see a lot of playing time for McBride. There's just a lot of different things that, I'm going to let practice sort itself out. Hopefully now, when you saw Pope on the phone on the beach in his chair, hopefully he was talking to somebody about possibly some summer games. I want to see this team play in the summer now. I mean, our excitement's up. This is probably the one thing that could get the Big Blue Nation as unified as it's been since the day that Mark Pope had his press conference. Yeah, he's going to play, but I don't think there's any world where he starts, but he's going to play. But it's just I just think we're going to see a world of where we get to see Pope's offense ran again because now I think he's got the pieces that he needs to run his style of offense. A Final Four would be great. That's for sure. But Kentucky fans have to be excited right now. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And that's kind of where I stand too. I just think right now it's got to be Cam, but it could be McBride. I don't think Braden starts from day one, just to where he hasn't played in a year of, I guess, competitive basketball. But, of all the things that, Pope really needed this. He really needed this. The Kentucky fan base needed this. And I think his ability to win this recruiting battle for Momcilovic is going to help him in future battles for some other big name guys. And like I said, Kentucky is the only program in the country that has 3 transfer players that have a 95 ranking or higher. Think about that. We've done nothing but criticize Mark Pope. We didn't allow him to cook. But while we were sitting there criticizing every move, he was whipping up a gourmet dish. And to get three guys that all have a 95 ranking or higher in the portal after this offseason when he's been criticized the entire time, he deserves this. Yeah, I definitely think there's a world where he plays the 3. Get and McBride at the 4. Um, I definitely see there. You know, I definitely can see that. I definitely like the versatility of him. Well, KY till I die. That's a good question. I know what it says he is supposed to do. Um, he's supposed to kind of help with the value. How much value does that player bring for the amount of money that you're giving them? So, but it's gonna be funny to watch on Twitter the next few days, weeks for all the people to come out and say that they never lost faith in Pope. They knew Pope could do it. They believed Pope could do it. They never criticized him. You're gonna see a lot of people come out and say that over the next 24 hours or so. And when you go back and look on their timeline, you're gonna see how they turned their back on Kentucky 15 times. All right, and I will say that for good reason. Till this time, we'd had trouble closing at the end, but maybe all that closing at the end was for for us. I mean, just think if we close on another player, we may not get him. So all those whiffs that you all talked about, the king of whiffs, Ken Whiffy Jr., all that, if we were to get one of those, then Momcilovic may not be a Kentucky Cat, because think about it. All the ones that you say, not when I say you, I'm not talking about you specifically. I'm talking about Kentucky in general, or Kentucky fans, or Big Blue Nation, whoever, the 1% or so I'm talking about. Say two of those guys that we supposedly whiffed on, we pull, we wouldn't have had a roster spot available. All right. So, but college basketball is going to be fun this year. Duke's loaded, Florida's loaded, Texas is loaded. But in the end, Nathan says it. Pope got who he wanted. Pope got who he wanted. I think if you asked him, he told you number one priority was Marino. He got him. I'd say number 2 at the time. He didn't know Momcilovic was going to be in the portal, but I'd say he was number 2 once he entered the portal. And then I'd say Wilkins was next. I've said this 1,000 times. If we were guaranteed to have either or, I'm taking Momcilovic all day long. That's not saying that when we were recruiting Stokes that I didn't want Stokes, because I really did. But I did not know when we were going after Stokes hard in November or so October, whenever it was, that Milan was going to be in the portal. Milan has played multiple years of college basketball, shot 50% against D1 heavy, stiff competition, 16 points per game, manhandled Kentucky last year in the NCAA tournament. There's going to be growing pains for Stokes at Kansas. It's not going to be all sunshines and roses. The physicality is going to get to him. He's going to struggle. So Milan's the easy answer there. I'd like to know that too. I wish I had an answer for you. I don't, but I definitely would like to have one, because I'm with you. Milan's a much better fit. Peanut, what are you trying to do? That's what I just said, Jason. You can't double the post when you got guys that can space the floor around you. That's true. I mean, I would have loved to have had Slim Jesus. I never saw a world where Kentucky was never really truly in the mix for him. But yeah, I really did like him. That's a pretty good comparison. Maybe I think Stokes may be a little bit more talented than Andrew Wiggins. Maybe like a ceiling wise, Andrew Wiggins is still in the league. He's had a really good career, but yeah, I can't wait for this week, this first game right off the bat. I really can't. I'm excited for it. And actually, no, all jokes aside, Jason, we should have had one, if not both of those. They were both seen to be Kentucky locks, and I'm not so sure that we started going heavy for Stokes and we missed out on both. I just don't think they filled his spot. Money was probably an issue for what he was asking. Put your worries aside, Peanut. No, probably not. I think our roster was better than Kansas's without Momcilovic. And Jerome Morton shoots 44% off the dribble. I mean, I like his confidence, but I have no problem proving him wrong either. I ain't got nothing for any of the Hogs. Yeah, I'd like to play Chandler next year. I would, but that's not going to happen. Yeah, Kentucky opens up against Kansas. Sure does. And to be quite frank, I think we're going to beat them. Go look. Momcilovic played really well against Kansas, I believe, or is that somebody else we were talking about? Maybe Jerome Morton played well against Gonzaga, I know, from Washington State. But yeah, this signing really hurt Trent Noah. I say it hurt Jerome Morton a little bit as well. There's not enough minutes for everybody, but the one thing that I think Pope's done that's kind of going under the radar is, I think last year he knew he didn't have the depth pieces to compete at a high level with consistency. But now I think we've got enough depth at every position that, foul trouble is not really going to hurt us. We've got the depth now. I don't know. Tennessee fans think they've got the best backcourt in the country. Rick Barnes kind of went at the portal with a whole different approach than what he's went at in the past. He's got an offensive minded team this year. He hasn't really he didn't, in years past, he's really been defensive. Holly, I just want to show you, you weren't on here to start. Maybe you're watching from the beginning, but if you're not, I got on my party hat. I had to wear my party hat in here tonight. I am on summer vacation. However, our youth basketball camp is this week, and I've started summer basketball. We don't actually play a game until the 10th of June, so we still got a few days before our first game, but we've been practicing about 2-3 times a week, and I've got the little kids in this week for youth camp, so that's exhausting, and I'm tired tonight. But listen, I got a boost of energy and adrenaline when I saw it come across my screen. I said, I got to go live. That's going to be our new phrase here on the Stay Hot podcast is look at me, Louis. Look at me, Louis. Tyron Stokes is a look at me, Louis. The free throw shooting percentages of these guys are all like 75% or higher. That's unreal. That's not always been a strength for the Kentucky teams. Kentucky's got great size at every position. Jason, we just talked about this. I don't like to project starters just because I like for that stuff to kind of be worked out. But if I had to project, I would say Zoom, Wilkins, Cam, Milan, and Marino. I think Jerome's going to get some time off the bench, maybe as a backup one. Hawthorne obviously is going to get playing time. McBride, Usman, Njai's going to get time. Frank the Tank. I don't know. We seem to have a lot of depth this year, but, we can't be playing 9 or 10 guys every single night, okay? We can't be playing 9 or 10 guys every single night. We're going to have to cut that rotation down to 7 or 8 come tournament time. So I like for the players to work that stuff out with their play. I like for Pope in these early non-conference games and scrimmages, give these guys a chance. But I really think this signing tonight really hurt Trent Noah and his time for this year. Best player is probably still, in my opinion, going to be Alex Wilkins, but I don't know if he'll be the leading scorer. Yeah, that's what I said, Larry. I think this recruitment's big for a number of reasons. It's been a wild weekend on my end. The amount of disinformation, Mr. X, bad intel, etc. was nuts. Yeah, I agree, Crash. I agree. And that's what's so hard about this, That's what's so hard about it. No, Frank ain't one to be punked, I can tell you. And I don't think McBride is either. Oh, slow your roll, Kevin. Slow your roll. 96 is maybe the best college team of all time. We're not going to get too far ahead of ourselves. All right? Talking about as a bad get for the Cats. Well, they were awful happy they were going to get him 2 days ago. You know what I'm saying? Jeez, oh, Pete. If they would have got him, it'd been a great get for them, but it's a bad get for us. You know how Louisville fans are. Girth and length can scare some off. You're right, Peanut. You are right. But, I just, I'm excited about Momchilovic's ability to space the floor. He shoots well off screens. He shoots well off the move. You can't let him spot up. I do think the one thing he needs to the one thing he really needs to work on is some kind of inside game. I think his rebounding has to get better. He's 6'8", which is good size, but he's going to have to I think he's got to be a little bit more physical, and I think that's what the NBA is showing him, or at least that's what I've heard. That's what they've told him. We can't watch any mommy highlights. Last time I did it, I got copyright struck. You got to be careful on that stuff. Welcome to the Kentucky jungle. We got fun and games. You're right, David. You're right. You work tonight? Tonight might be a night I might show up. I'm feeling awful spunky. There was Crash, and there was one guy putting out some kind of crazy stuff, Gob or Gobble Gobble, whatever his name was. I looked, he only had like 22 followers, so I knew he was fake. But still, there was a lot of stuff going out there. Right. I mean, but the NBA's drafting on potential. Okay. Stokes' potential is a lot higher than Momchilovich, but I'm talking about for the Kentucky Wildcats next year, Momchilovich is a better fit than what Stokes is. You're not going to convince me any otherwise of that. And he may not be a lottery pick by this time next year. Depends on what kind of freshman year he has. If you remember when Justin Edwards came to Kentucky, he was the number 1 overall pick in the draft too. And you kind of saw what, he went undrafted. I'm not going to say that Stokes is going undrafted because I don't believe that. But I'm not saying it's set in stone that he's going to be as high a pick as what he's projected at right now. Any kind of those highlights are all kind of hard to watch due to the copyright stuff. I'll see if I can find some at some time, but I'm not going to do it tonight because it's already so late. Hell, it's already 11:30. I mean, but here's the thing, Peanut. I'd much rather them start us out at 17 the last couple of years of the Cal era than last year with Pope. They rank us in the top 3 or 4, although we're not that good. They were ranking us on reputation, ranking us on tradition. Then next thing you know, we lose a few, then we're out of the top 25. I think that just gets a lot of people up, gets their expectations and hype up, and we don't really need that. All right, I'd just soon start at 17. Correct, Larry. All right, I got you, David. They were not only alive, they were alive and active. Florida, Illinois, Duke. I'd say Texas is close. But I mean, the SEC, there's going to be some teams that beat us in the SEC. Maybe not better than us, but anytime you play those games in conference, they're always going to be tough. I like under the radar too to start, but I mean, when you got Wilkins, Momchilovich, Marino, Zoom, I'm not 100% sure we're going to be under the radar. We're definitely going to jump into the top 25 the next time these things come out. So, but I don't like the hype in the preseason. And I also agree that, that there's a lot of different options they can go with too. But I keep seeing a lot of people out there saying that Alex Wilkins won't start. They'll start Cam at the 2. I don't see a world where Alex Wilkins don't start, but that's just me. And I don't know everything and don't claim to know everything, but I don't see a world where Wilkins don't start. In my opinion, Alex Wilkins is going to start. Be careful what you say there, Crash, because there's a lot of people that's probably out there saying that right now. There's people out there probably saying that right now. Goodman said he takes our roster over Louisville's. Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I mean, Louisville's got a lot of pieces and they signed a lot of players, but I'm not so sure those pieces fit. We'll just have to see. I definitely think we're top 15. Sleepers might have did a show tonight. I don't follow them, but I heard somebody mention them earlier. I'm not going that far just yet, Stanley, but Marino's definitely going to jump up into the lottery after coming back this year, and he's going to grow and progress. This signing of Mommy was just as big for Marino as it was for anybody. This allows him to not be doubled on the post. They're going to have shooters on both sides of the floor. They're going to be able to space the floor to where if they are helped out, they're going to be able to kick out for open looks. That's what I think right there. They also lost Mikael Brown. I would love for Goodman to admit that he's wrong at something regarding Kentucky, but I'm not going to hold my breath on that. I can't tell you the last time I've heard him say something positive regarding Kentucky, honestly. He also helps our guards being able to get downhill. Zoom should be able to get downhill one-on-one now, and if there is help side, like I said, most teams won't help from the strong side corner. That's just kind of an unwritten rule. I guess it depends on the coach and how they want to play their defense in the half court. At the high school level, you put your best shooter in the strong side corner. Get your point guard going downhill because they're not going to help off strong side corner. So your point guard gets one-on-one. If they do help, your best shooter got to open 3 in the corner. It's kind of been that way for now, been that way for a while at the high school level, but there also are other things you can do to, create mismatches for, different positions and things like that, depending on how the defense plays. But I definitely think adding Momchilovich makes those other defenses or other teams think about how they're going to guard. So Chris Adams is going to say that he's a Kentucky fan. He wanted us to get Momcilovic from the start. He's happy we got him. But the first time something goes south, he'll be the first one to say it. He'll be, I told you so. I told you so. I'm not a fan. That's what I'm saying. Just by adding a guy, or just now having a guy on, I mean, you got Cam, and if Hawthorne can stroke like they say, you know, you have these guys from on the wing, Momcilovic and Cam, then, you know, if you got shooters like that, it really opens up a lot. Ryan Hampton might be our first. Yeah, we talked about that. I think so. All these Kentucky haters just keep pecking away, but I hope so, David. I hope we have to be much better fighting through screens this year. Our defense has to be crazy. Has to be better. It has to be. I'm not so sure adding Momcilovic helps our defense a whole lot, but if we can outscore other teams, then, you know, I guess it's not that big of a deal, which I think we tried that at times last year and it didn't always work out. So, but I think we definitely need to our defense has to improve, not just on pick and rolls, just, you know, kind of all the way around. Just, you know, guarding the ball, off the ball. Call me crazy, but Milan's offensive game and post game reminds of Dirk. He definitely likes that little fade away from the short corner. I don't know about a post game as far as deep in the post him, but he'll take him to the short corner and kind of do a fade away. He did that to I think he did to Jasper once in an NCAA tournament game, but he was a little bit deeper. Yeah, I really think Kentucky's in good position with him. And when I had Brandon Ramsey on the other day, he kind of confirmed he liked Kentucky's position with Rosser. And yeah, I would listen. If you get a power forward like Rosser, who some say is the number one player in that class, some people have him ranked number 3 in that class. But he's definitely 1 or 2 in the class and probably number 1 at the power forward position. And you get him with somebody like a wing like Hampton, and then maybe hopefully we can add a point guard, King Gibson, even if it's like Alston. There's a lot of point guards in this class that Kentucky's after, or at least watched or looked at. So I definitely think Pope's sitting well for the 27 class. That's something I can't answer. And as a coach, I try not to talk about the officiating much. I don't always agree with the officiating, but I'm also one that'll tell you that the officiating never costs you a game. I don't remember. I just remember our defense wasn't good. If that meant we weren't fighting through screens, then yeah, we need to improve it. But I'm not worried about that right now. I'm worried about Momcilovic. I want him. I want him hitting 7-8 threes a game. We're not going to score 95 plus a game in the SEC, Larry. It's just not going to happen. SEC, the defense too physical. It's just not going to happen. We need to be able to lock down. I agree with that statement, but we've had trouble with this in the past, Jason. We've had trouble with this in the past. I don't know if it's if defense is just effort, which I don't. I mean, I think effort is required, but there's more to it than just effort. There's some skill to it. There's basketball IQ required, especially depending on what the defensive game plan is. How you guarding screens? How you guarding the screen and roll? Are you switching, hedging, drop coverage? How you guarding it? There's a lot of things involved in that, and there's more to it than just effort. Because the last couple of years, I think Kentucky gave effort. I just don't think they were very good at it. And you can sit there and say a lot of different reasons why they weren't good. So we can say that our offense, is going to make things a little bit easier. I agree. But, we got some teams in the SEC is going to be hard to outscore. Florida's tough, guys. They still got Chinaloo, Condon, Houck. I think they've even signed some other people. I think this year our rim protection's better just by adding Frank. Marino's a year older, a year more mature. I think Zoom's a decent defender on ball. Cam and Hawthorne are both really, really long. They should be able to play defense a little bit. Momcilovic is 6'8". I still think my concern is rebounding. If you had to ask me what a concern is right now on June 1st, I would say rebounding. But, that's what I was talking about, Peanut. Rick Barnes kind of went a different direction. I guess he kind of found out that going the defensive route in the portal and out of high school wasn't getting him a Final Four. So he kind of went a different approach and kind of started recruiting offensive-minded players. So those UK games will be fun to watch. But, long as we don't lay an egg, and that's the one thing, last year, I can just tell you this. We've blamed a lot on injuries from last year. And, there's some cases you can throw injuries in because I agree that they affected some things. But injuries don't affect the five on the floor and the effort they gave sometimes to come out at LSU and be down 18-2. There's something else that's causing that. That's not the injuries of the players. That's something that's got to be fixed. Maybe, I don't know what causes that. I think every team probably has those starts. The good thing was Kentucky showed some of those signs of being able to come back from large deficits in many games, but you don't want to create those large deficits to where you have to expend all your energy getting back into the game. Then the last 4 minutes of the second half, you're dead dog tired, exhausted to where, you can't get a shot to fall. Your legs are heavy, can't defend, can't guard. The three ball is a lot more now. There are things that the three is kind of the, and I've learned what's up, Loyal BBM Show? Thanks for being here. John, thanks for being here. It definitely hurt our rim protection for sure, Bruce. But what I was saying is, that it's kind of like I don't know. I just have so many concerns with our defense and ability to rebound to get to the offensive end. But there's still a lot of time to fix that. If this team can be like year one for Pope and they can gel and the chemistry's high, I think they can work together as a team, and they can make up for some of those deficits in half-court defense and rebounding. Wildcat Keeper, what's up, man? If you're new here, give me a subscribe. I appreciate you. Anybody else that's new here, give me a subscribe. This new edition is the final piece that I've been talking to for months that we needed. And now that we got it, I definitely think we're going to be in the top 15 the next batch of top 25s. I hope they don't put us up there around 7 or 8 too early. I think that's something I want to see us earn. We've not played a game yet. But put us around the 15 range and let us go from there. But Crash and I told you all last show that he was going to be a cat, that he was already a cat. I'm standing by that. I think he was already a cat at that time. I just think things needed to be worked out. Now, I think he did handle this situation probably correctly. He probably gave other teams the ability to give him another offer, which may be why the process seemed a little bit drawn out. But if you think about it, he just withdrew on the 27th. That's just like 4 or 5 days ago. Wasn't our show on Friday, though, Crash? I don't remember now, but anyways. But still, Crash does know his stuff. That's for sure. John Boy, we don't really care about money tonight. We'll figure that out in due time. All we're here to do is to celebrate the fact that Mom Chilovich is a Wildcat. And in order to celebrate, I brought my party hat. So I get good vibes when I wear this hat. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm just glad that Crash was right, because I was starting to catch hell for believing in Crash. Hell, I was getting comments on my videos telling me that they liked me, but they wasn't going to watch my show anymore because I rage baited Big Blue Nation, and I was sending out false information. And Jason says, the 3 is tough to live by, but sometimes with how this team shoots, hard for teams, bigs like Florida to just pack the paint. Yeah, and I think we're gonna have to shoot the ball well from 3 to beat a team like Florida, because they're going to score the ball well offensively. But no, I'll be honest with you, that's hard for me to believe. We talked about that a little bit earlier. It's been a while since I've heard Goodman say anything positive about Kentucky. I can't hardly believe that he said anything tonight about them. But I'll be honest with you, and maybe this is Kentucky bias showing through. I hope not. But I think we had a better roster than Louisville without the Momcilovic signing. But, this just makes it all that much sweeter. But, of course, some Louisville fans right now are saying that they didn't really want Momcilovic. So he's not that good of a player, if you can believe that. Crash. I think we're definitely, I know I'm not Crash, but I'll answer the question. I think we're definitely top 4, which gets us that double bye. I don't know of anybody that's much better than us other than Florida, maybe Texas, but I definitely think Texas is beatable. But I definitely feel like we can hang with the SEC. Amy, we needed good news, and we got good news. Good news, good news. I appreciate that, Keeper. I really do. I think we're still behind Florida, Tennessee, and Texas. Yeah, but Tennessee's 1-4 against us the last 2 years. Pope seems to have Rick Barnes' number, so that's exactly what I thought about I look like a lampshade with all these little things here, but it's actually a hat. With Milan committing, that means John Boy don't have to tweet me every hour, ask if I heard anything different on Twitter. John Boy was keeping Twitter hot the last few days. Yeah, Holly, they didn't want him. He wasn't good enough. Couldn't even start for them. Couldn't even start for them. You know what? And I really thought, I didn't even think Louisville was our second really biggest competition in this. I really thought Arizona was until I heard that, Milan told Iowa State that he wouldn't go to another team in that conference. So I definitely think Texas is going to be tough, but I think we can beat Texas. John Michael writes, "What's up, my man?" I'm curious to see if they say Zoom gets in foul trouble, if they'll go ahead and move Wilkins to the 1 and potentially move Cam to the 2. I think Morton's going to get some time too, but I definitely think this signing may have hurt his minutes. Definitely hurt Noah's minutes. Well, maybe one show I'll whip out the 2-2 if we get a few more members. I thought for my quick going live tonight, we'd add a few more members tonight, but I haven't seen any added yet. Vandy's going to be good. Yeah, Tanner coming back is definitely going to make Vandy a lot better. Hey, I'm just giving you a hard time, man. John Boy, I love this stuff, brother. I felt bad at times I couldn't give you any more information because I didn't know anything. I really didn't. Appreciate you, Amy. No. Listen, John Michael, I'm not kidding. That man shoots 44% from 3 off the move, off the dribble. That's elite level. And he's already played, high major D1. So I definitely think he's going to get time. My question is he going to be able to guard that position? I'm definitely high on Drone. I'm not going to even worry about Crawford. If he joins us, he does. If he don't, he don't. I'm not going to check. I probably won't check Twitter regularly again for a few days. This last week has exhausted me. Every time I took a break at youth ball camp today, I checked Twitter to see if he had a commitment or John Boy, let me ask you a question. Are you ever happy? Are you ever happy? Are you ever happy? Oh, Heather Graham. I think I got this from Heather Graham, honestly, Jake. I think I got it. That's right. One time for you, Big Mike. Go Big Blue. Go Big Blue. Go Big Blue. All for my man, Big Mike. I know, man. I don't know what's causing that, but I wanted everybody to see it. I like the hat, but it's keep causing me to disappear with the background. We don't get many Louisville fans in here. Anthony Eason's one of them, but I was going to let them talk a little bit of crap tonight when they came in, and I was going to let us talk a little crap. Then I was going to time out them or mute them and send them on their way. But Jerome has been, he has. If anybody can teach defense, it's Dominique Hawkins. I think it definitely makes Vanderbilt a lot better. He was one of those guards that kind of gave us fits last year. He can definitely score. He can definitely score the rock. I think it'd be hard to discount it. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, I'm glad you didn't tell me any of it because honestly, I was tired of, I'm not gonna lie to you. I went to the dollar store on maybe Saturday, and I was looking for a Damn It doll to buy. I was going to purchase a Damn It doll for if he did not commit to Kentucky, so I could go ahead and just go ahead and get all my frustration out. It was already starting to feel that way. I was getting frustrated. It's already taking a lot longer than I wanted to. Although in the big scheme of things or in the reality of it, it really didn't take that long from when he withdrew from the NBA draft. So with that being said, it really didn't take that long. I just got impatient. Somebody lied to you if they told you I was a really good coach. They haven't seen me coach then. All really good coaches have really good players. I'm glad. I think it makes the SEC better. It's definitely going to give us a quad one win when we win at Vandy. So I definitely think it helps Kentucky. I just don't see Noah. I don't know how to answer that question. I'd like to see Noah get some minutes or earn some minutes, but I don't know. I don't know. John Boy, if you're crazy happy, then quit making statements like, I'm just worried we got too much depth. I'm just worried let the coaching staff figure that out. Having too many pieces is a good problem to have. It's better than not having enough. I paid David to say all this stuff, guys. I paid him. Dominique is one of my all-time favorite cats. I love how hard Dominique Hawkins played. I loved it. That's funny. I don't think so. I'd be shocked if they ever leave the ACC unless they just, I don't think it will. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. Big Mike was on the show. If you get a chance, Wildcat Keeper, if you wasn't here the last show, go back and watch. Big Mike came on about 5:30 a.m. in Qatar and joined us. So that was greatly appreciated. The man knows what he's talking about. Great dude. Hey, he put on a good show last night with Cam and Hawkins' dad, or Hawthorne's dad. Put on a really good show. I love watching those two guys. They got such good chemistry together. But, what a lot of people didn't realize that when Crash was saying that stuff the other night, and we said it multiple times throughout the show, he wasn't the only one saying it. There were a lot of Kentucky people, maybe not national, but there were a lot of Kentucky people saying that stuff as well, to where it's almost like it wasn't just I took Crash's word and ran for it and kind of put us kind of out there. I wasn't trying to rage bait anybody. I saw multiple people say the same thing Crash said. So when Crash said it, I thought, he's got an inside source. Everybody's saying kind of the same thing. So it has to be true. I think early on, Paxton, he'll play them all. But I think the one mistake he won't make this year is the substitution stuff. And I think part of the reason he made those substitution mistakes last year is because I don't think he really knew which way to turn. We were already a lot deeper in our bench than I think he ever wanted to go. He definitely made mistakes in the substitution pattern. I think he definitely didn't allow the players to get hot. And if they did get hot, he didn't allow them to stay hot. He'd take them out. Yeah, and I think the only thing that was, we were a little, and we talked about this, me and Crash, this is maybe a little premature on when it was going to happen or how quick it happened. But ultimately, like I said at the beginning of the show, if some of you all took that information as rage bait from me, I apologize. I told the guy that was giving me hell, he told me that he really liked me, but he wasn't going to watch the show anymore. And I told him best wishes, good luck, but it's kind of, it's just always a touchy, risky. Anytime you say something on a show like this publicly, people, even if you say, I think, or maybe, or I hope, a lot of people hear what they want to hear and they'll go out and say, well, Patrick from the Stay Hot podcast said that Momchilovich is a cat, something like that. Well, I did say that because I really believe that. Quincy did double down on this one, but he better have got this one right after the Stokes debacle. He better. Yeah, and listen, all of the reliable ones never wavered this weekend when Louisville and that's kind of that's kind of when I kind of realized that a lot of the stuff being put out wasn't necessarily true because none of the national guys ever really wavered from their thoughts of Kentucky and how I guess how deep Kentucky was in. I mean, they kept saying Kentucky was the place from day one. I like Midnight Madness just because the environment, but I'm for one feel like it's lost some of its luster. I go every year usually, and I'll probably try to go again. But I wish I could come up with something new, and I don't know what even it is that would be new that would get everybody's attention. But I think just with the excitement back around the program, Kentucky's going to be ranked again. Momcilovic, like I said, 3 guys out of the portal, the only team to do so that have a 95 ranking. ESPN ranked Momcilovic number 1 player in the portal. Pope got him to Lexington. I think there's going to be some excitement, so I think there's going to be people show up at Midnight Madness. I wish they'd kind of bring back Tent City, camp out at old Tent City. I used to go down there and do that. I love that. JMI is way more complicated than what I'll ever understand, Amy. If you ever have any questions for JMI, go to somebody besides me. I know Crash has talked about it on here before. He seems to understand it a lot better than I do. And honestly, John Boy, that's why I said it on the show that night. I believed he was right. And and honestly, you never really know on Twitter when you read something what's true, what's false. And you can do your research all you want. No matter which narrative you take, or which take you have, or what narrative you take regarding a situation, you're going to be able to find tweets or information that support both. Like I could go on there this weekend, I could find you probably 10 tweets that say Arizona was a much bigger player than what they actually were. I could have found you 25 or 30 tweets that said he was going back to Iowa State. I could have found you another 50 or so that Louisville was dead set on him being a Cardinal. And then I could have found you another 100 or so from Kentucky. So there was narratives out there from every fan base saying, and, it almost got to the point to where it was overwhelmingly exhausting. So I just quit checking Twitter on Saturday, and I didn't check it again until Sunday just because, it was exhausting. I'm talking about to the point that every time you logged on, you were getting something totally different, which is also a pretty good red flag that nobody really knows what's going on. So you kind of want to give hats off to Momcilovic and his team, his crew, his camp, whatever you want to refer to them as. They kept this recruitment close to their chest, and they didn't really let anybody in. I don't think, I was glad to hear, Matt Jones come out and say that the information we got last week that he's let both teams know, Louisville and Kentucky, where he's going. That was false information. But all that matters is in the end, he's a Kentucky Wildcat. I didn't know if, I kept thinking one of his reasons for waiting, and which a couple people said here tonight, was to maximize his NIL, which that's always going to be a very good reason for people to wait. But I thought maybe he wanted to be in Lexington with the coaching staff. I thought maybe him and his family were traveling to Lexington. They may not commit till he got to Lexington. Maybe he wanted to do his photo shoot. Maybe there were multiple reasons why he wanted to commit. But then I saw where Pope was on the beach, and I thought, okay, well, Pope's not even in Lexington. So with that being said, there's just 100 different things. Right. And I do. And he's a cat, isn't he? He didn't commit as early as I thought he would. I thought it would be this weekend, but he's a cat, right? I've never once said that I didn't own it. So when do you think he committed to Kentucky then? It wasn't just today. I wouldn't think. Yeah, I knew they gave UL a chance, and UL did up their they did up their NIL price a little bit, and I think Kentucky actually and I think I heard Kentucky actually raised theirs once Louisville did. I don't know if that's true or not. A drunk contest? They already do a dunk contest. But if you want him to do a drunk dunk contest, that could be fun too, I guess. Matthew Mitchell's one of my favorite guys. When I went to Kyra Elsie's last year, she had a really fun high school coaches clinic. And it's funny because she called her defense the Waffle House because she said it was smothered and covered, which I thought was funny if you ever watched them play. But Matthew Mitchell spoke at that clinic that year, and he's just a really good guy to talk to. When he opens his mouth, he's kind of got that voice that just kind of draws you in, and when he speaks, you kind of listen. So I enjoy Matthew Mitchell. I really do like him. All right, I'm a little behind on comments here. I'm trying to catch up. Crash says a potentially $8 million deal. I've heard that as well, but don't know any truth to that. Maybe, but I thought that may have happened last night after that debacle. Something to maybe get the fan, because I'm telling you, last night fan base was down in the dumps. I was one of them. Thanks for being here, Shane. Crash says there are people that have to be notified and sign off on Milan's NIL, and when those people get notified, that's when leaks start to happen, and that's when he finds out. Does that make Mommy the highest NIL player in college? I would say at this current time it does. I would say at this current time. That cat in my pick is my signed print from the Patino Air Christmas gift. Oh, that's cool. That's right, Shane. Celebrate, baby. Hey, here was Cody Figures boom. Real short, 1 second. Boom. Probably just a shout out to Louisville. Probably just a jab at the Louisville Cards. I don't know. Or he's playing his hand right. The hand that I don't know. He's also got him a drink in his hand. He's all kicked back. Okay, so you think he might have signed yesterday. Okay. If you don't think he's already signed, go look. I don't know why you're coming in here acting like that, but if you don't like the show, you don't have to be here. Yeah, he committed when you got to work. Well, that's what usually happens to me, Big Blue Cat. The women's team has a really good team. I agree. Yeah, we were just talking about that. Yeah, I was saying earlier when we talked about it, Holly, that I felt like that it was almost like how a little league team would lose. Like some of the mistakes you saw Kentucky making was like the mistakes of a little league team, not being able to find the strike zone. It was just a nightmare in its own right. So And I knew that it'd be hard to bounce back from that today, but they fought. They tied it up in the 8th on back-to-back home runs and actually had a runner in scoring position in the 9th and couldn't get him across. So, right. I'm talking, yeah, but I wish they would have done it last night when I was down in the dumps. I kind of didn't expect. Oh, I didn't look at the cards. Does he actually have only 2 cards? What are the 2 cards? And actually, if you go look at Milan's Twitter, he actually put out a picture that says committed and put out a cat. So, no, we're not doing any more Twitter reporting. I wasn't doing any Twitter reporting the last time. I was going by what I'd heard from people that I trust. And it turns out that they were right. Has Mike Kern ever announced his decision yet? Mike Kern is still in the portal. He got his evaluation from the NBA. They gave him a few things he needs to work on. But if you go look in the NCAA Division I, Mike Kern is listed for every team. Every team's interested in Mike Kern. He's not actually interested in Kentucky because it'd be a backup role, but there are several teams out there that still need a starter in Mike Kern. So, Mike Kern, I mean, he's a veteran. He's been around a while now. Y'all need to go look up Mike Kern highlights if y'all ain't seen him yet. John Boy, are you serious? I've never been more excited about a Kentucky team in my entire life. What are you, 9? Were you not around for 96? Were you not around for 2012? Anthony Davis? This team right now don't have anybody that can touch Anthony Davis. I think you're having a I think you're just like the current good news is just kind of just has you kind of in your feels. You know what I'm saying? The current good news has you in your feels. I know it's been a long time, but don't get there's the word I was thinking of, recency bias. Thank you, Mr. Meyer. Don't have anyone who could touch Walker. 96 Cats were the best NCAA college basketball team of all time, in my opinion. By the way, Louisville fans will try to say that they didn't up their offer to Milan. That is 100% false. I know when Kentucky had to boost their NIL deal Saturday, which means UL boosted first. Yeah, I agree with that statement because, you know, at first Kentucky's offer was substantially larger than Louisville's. Then after Louisville kind of upped their offer, Matt Jones tweeted that the offer now was about $1.5 million now as opposed to like $3 million. And I'd heard that Kentucky upped their offer. I'm not so sure Kentucky had to up their offer. I don't really think Louisville was ever a viable option, in my opinion. But I understand why Milan and his agents use that to maximize his NIL deals. But, you know, Kentucky still has one roster spot left to fill. Like I said, I don't think that's going to be a top priority right now. Maybe not be anything that you hear about in the next couple of days or weeks or anything of that. To be honest, if they do fill their roster spot, it's going to be a project. Somebody overseas that they can probably hope to develop for a year or two. But, you know, we've talked about the risky part of that. The risky part of that is once you get them over here on your roster, then you develop them. Then at the end of the year, they decide to enter the transfer portal. And sometimes those things right there is not really something some teams, you can't redshirt anymore. I don't know. And if this is regarding Jamal Crawford being hired as the assistant coach. I don't know. And if I hear something, I'm not sure I will say anything. Yeah, I'm, you'll be called a Twitter reporter or something if you do. Yeah, it's almost not worth it to say anything. It really isn't. You get people coming down your throat if they don't, sign or commit. I couldn't think of the word commit. If they don't commit when they think you should. Crash has insiders in the athletic department that he knows. Yeah. Yeah. Peanut, I'm not doubting you, brother. You've said it almost every show. I didn't think that he would be in the portal. I know what he did to us in March in the round of 32. Yeah. Kentucky didn't have an answer for him then. So I'm not 100% sure that I have any reason to doubt you. Yeah, and by no means, Crash, when I said that the other night, when I said that, like after you said it in the chat, when I reiterated, like I said, there were people on Twitter, multiple people on Twitter. I'm talking about people that usually report on Kentucky things saying the exact same thing you were saying. When multiple people are usually saying the same thing, there's usually some truth to it. Like you said, now when he said that he liked Kentucky's offer, he wanted to discuss it with his family. Some people may have taken that as a yes. Like I said, I apologize for if some of you took me saying that what we saw on Twitter was set in stone definite and rage baited you into having a bad weekend, then I apologize for that. But, I've always told you all on here, I'm not an insider. I will always tell you if I know something or don't know something. I always tell you if I heard it or if I don't hear it. I always tell you if multiple people have told me. It's funny, though, when you start doing these shows, how many people slide into your DMs wanting to know either what you know or wanting to tell you what they know. And I will tell you this. I'm going to go on the record and tell you. If you all don't follow, I don't know if y'all follow Stein Studs on Twitter or not. But he came into my DMs several days ago, and everything he told me seemed to be accurate. And he reached out to me today, and all he said was, "I told you." And I said, "You the man." I didn't post anything he told me. I wasn't about to post anything he told me after the other night, but I think his name is Stein Studs, and he was on board. I'm not gonna lie. He had some good stuff. So, we got Mason Williams tweeting now. We got the players. Oh man, listen, tell me, have you seen a Kentucky fan base this united since Pope press conference to announce him as the coach? I've seen very little negativity on the X app. Also, if y'all haven't heard, Rupp to No Good. I don't know if you follow them. That's Matt Sack BBN. I don't know if y'all familiar with Matt Sack, but Rupp to No Good is somebody that's always did a podcast. They have a YouTube channel now. Let me see exactly. It's called Rupp to No Good, at Rupp to No Good. Go follow those guys. They did a show tonight. It was their debut on YouTube. They had some good information on, or actually they did Kentucky baseball live reactions, as well as they talked about Momchilovich. So the Caddy can also did a show tonight. Locked on Kentucky did a show. Hey, all the big names in Kentucky podcasting did a show tonight. A lot of those shows are already over. There's only one show still going on, and that's PTK. I wish they could fix it out with a green screen to where you didn't lose. It looks like sometimes I lose my fingers and stuff. If you're new here, please subscribe to the channel over on YouTube. Please like the show on your way in or out. Please like the show. I will say that Crash did cost me to lose a few subscribers, but I still love him and I still appreciate his information because he was right from day one. Crash never, I don't remember Crash ever guaranteeing it. He was telling us basically everything he had heard through his source. And sometimes when you hear things from sources, sometimes the information's right, sometimes it's not. Just like this weekend with all the misinformation and bad intel out there, you didn't really know what to believe and what not to believe. But, at the end of the day, mommy's a cat. We got a mommy cat. That's something that will probably come out at some point in time. I would say most of these guys already know each other. A lot of them's probably already played together on the AAU circuit or the high school circuit. A lot of these guys have played each other or even in the college game. I would say they basically talked about the offense and how important he was to the offense and what kind of strengths he would bring as far as, his offensive game. I thought that was a good move by Pope. Sometimes players can sell your system better than the coach can. And we've already seen Pope struggle at the final table. So I'm not saying it was the players that finally convinced him to join Kentucky. I think at the end of the day, Kentucky had the most money to offer. And not only the most money they could offer, but I think they also were his best fit for what his offensive skill set is. So he honestly had good people in his corner. He had smart people in his corner. But I truly believe that, he made the decision that was best for him. And, and one thing that I think it was Braden Hawthorne's dad said on Big Mike's show last night was, this is a young kid who's making a big decision. These decisions and these processes aren't done overnight. So as us fans, to want or expect these decisions to be made quick, fast, and in a hurry, it's almost unrealistic to think that. So, right. I knew that Hampton on a visit was not a pivot. Hampton had already said, and he had told the media, I am not reclassifying. I am staying in the class of 27. And I told you all 2 weeks ago when there was a show that if he stayed in the class of 26, he would not be a Kentucky Wildcat. I felt confident with that information that I'd gotten. Also, I think I saw it on Twitter too from or maybe Pope said it in his interview with Ben Roberts after I'd heard it, that if he reclasses to 26, Kentucky would not use a roster spot on him. If he stayed in the class of 27, there's a really good chance he could be a Kentucky Wildcat. So him being in the class of 27, I think Kentucky's made him a priority. They've been at a lot of his games already in the NCAA live periods already this summer. AAU basketball is going to be over with for a few weeks because high school basketball starting. This guy's back right here. How do I get rid of him? I hate doing that because I feel like I'm going to get rid of somebody else or block somebody like I did Chris. Why do these people come in and do that stuff, man? Racist bastards. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure you said it here, but I think I said it multiple times here that he wasn't going to reclass. or that if he did reclass, that we weren't getting him. So it was good news the moment I saw him tell the media that he was probably going to stay in the class of 27, because I think that's a guy that we're in really good with. Also in good with C.J. Rosser. And as I mentioned before, there's a lot of point guards in this class. I don't think we can go wrong with any of them. I think there's a few that Pope has prioritized. I tried to get rid of him as soon as I could, Clyde. I hate that stuff. Well, I try to get rid of them as soon as I can. So just sometimes they get on here while I'm talking. I don't always see them. And last time, if you remember, that's how I ended up banning Chris, was me trying to ban somebody else. And that guy was different, but he had the same message. So I will try to keep an eye on that a little bit closer, because I don't like it. Obviously, it's just ridiculous. I don't know why people do that nonsense. Let me go over to the old world of Twitter and see. Somebody's already got a picture of Milan and Marino, and got M&M's, trying to get M&M's to give them a sponsorship, which I think M&M's crazy if they don't monopolize or monetize on that opportunity. I'm going to show you what Alex Wilkins says on his story regarding the commitment. This is from Alex Wilkins. He says, "Say nothing more." When Tipton broke the news that Momcilovic has signed with Kentucky. So seems like, and I don't know why they shouldn't be, especially Zoom and the guards. They should definitely be happy to have somebody that can space the floor. Cats by 90. Good to have you in here. Boom, baby. And if you need to hear it from Cody Feger, I can get that for you too. Well, we can't really hear it, but I can get it for you. That's from Cody Feger right there. Boom. I really do think, and I'm not kidding, I think M&M should try to monopolize that market there. Hey, Shane, I don't know if you were in here, but not only the #1 portal player, but Shane, Kentucky is the only program in the country that got 3 players from the portal that have a ranking of 95 or higher. Their portal ranking is 95 or higher. Kentucky is the only team in the country that got 3 players. So all those times and energy we wasted saying that Pope whiffed, Pope wasn't cooking, Pope whatever. Look, Pope was cooking all along. We just didn't know it. So, I think Mark Pope probably deserves an apology from a lot of people in Big Blue Nation, because he put together a pretty good class regardless. And I can tell you right now, I know Justin McBride ain't a 95 or higher, but we're going to like that kid. We're going to like McBride. I think we're really going to like our team. All right, Dylan from Big Blue Nation. You all trust Dylan? Big Blue Dylan, you all trust him? Let's see what he says right here. Hold on here. Let me add this picture here, and I'm going to put it up on the screen. This is what Big Blue Dylan expects for the rotation and lineups to be. I know you all love to talk about this stuff. All right, he projects the starters to be kind of what we've said: Zoom, Alex, Cam, Marino, and Milan. Pretty good starting five. Backups: Jerome, Hawthorne, McBride, Usman, and Frank Kepnong. He actually has McBride playing the three, maybe. I don't know if we'll ever see that second five on the floor all at one time, but I think that's a very legit 10. Then you got Mason Williams, Zion Hawthorne, Reese Potter, and Trent Noah. And like I've said multiple times, I'll leave that up there for those of you that want to kind of look over that. I think that's a pretty good assessment there from Big Blue Dylan. I kind of agree with what he's saying there. He definitely has our starting five. I said that I thought Trent Noah suffered the most from Milan Momcilovic's signing, and that proves to be pretty true. I also think that, I don't ever think Reese Potter was going to play a whole lot, but this puts him a little bit farther behind, I would say. Now, in certain situations, we may see Mason Williams get some time just because I think he is a very talented freshman. But, I don't think he gets much time in what I would consider to be, big time minutes and big time games, maybe. So, but, I kind of, I like that roster. I definitely like our starting five, but look at the size. Let's just look our guards, 6'4" and 6'5". And they got Alex listed as a combo guard because I do think he can play both positions. It looks like they're going to play Zoom at the, the primary guard position, Alex off the ball, which I do like the versatility that, that those two bring. But look, 6'4", 6'5", 6'8", 6'8", 7 foot. Then we can come off the bench with 6'11", 6'11", 6'8", 6'9", 6'4". And you just can't teach size, You just can't teach size. Yeah, I love Big Blue Dylan. That's kind of what it shows, and I definitely think it kind of allows us to be able to space the floor a little bit. Yeah, and that's what I thought about too when a lot of people asked if he would transfer. He's a Kentucky boy wearing the blue and white. He's got a lot of businesses that want to give him NIL deals just because he's from the state of Kentucky. Probably the same with Marino. I don't know if the same's with Morton and Potter, but it may be by the time that they're, done. Not real sure. And I'm telling you, I truly believe that, this is one I meant to click on. Somebody must have added, but the one area that I thought we struggled with last year, other than defense rebounding, but that Pope could really control was not only substitutions, but our depth. And I know that the 3 injuries that we had contributed a lot to our lack of depth, but there were a lot of nights we were playing people out of position. Aberdeen was having to play the 1. Aberdeen's not a 1. Doesn't like to pass the ball enough to be a 1 in my eyes. And Aberdeen's not going to be eligible to play at Florida. I don't care what those people say or what you're hearing about that. But I definitely like our depth. Kepnong, McBride, Morton, they've all started at Kepnong started at Washington, McBride at JMU, Morton started at Washington State. Usman Njai was a pro overseas, so I mean he's got skill. Then, like I said, we've talked about Hawthorne a lot. Hawthorne was a top 30 player in his class coming out of high school. So I definitely think he has the ability to shoot. But Frank and McBride actually give us those grown men inside that can help protect the rim and get tough rebounds. I think having those two guys alone help our rebounding, but I'm still going to want to see it in game action. Yeah, I can't think of his name, Peanut. I remember that guy from Georgia. Yeah, he was in that 26 class that's loaded now going to The NBA, that's Peterson, Mikael Brown, you know, Cameron Boozer. So, I mean, not even forgetting the best one. I'm forgetting the best one in that class because I can't think of his name. I do really like NJ. I've watched big chunks, a couple games from him. I don't think everything will transfer over to SEC play, but he's going to give us some fun. Very super athletic. Yeah, some of those shots he throws up looks like bad shot selection, but they seem to go in. So I think I agree with you. I think he's going to give us some rim rocking, just super athletic plays at the next level that are just going to be fun to watch. But I think this brings some excitement back to Kentucky basketball. I think this is what we needed. Diabonsta, that's who I was thinking of. My bad. I couldn't think of his name. But I definitely believe that, this is going to get the Kentucky basketball fan base back on board and allow us to focus all of our attention on, football. With football coming up, I was afraid that some of the basketball fans would check out altogether, worried about what we was going to do basketball-wise. But getting him tonight kind of eases a lot of minds, eases a lot of, people in Big Blue Nation. So, yeah, I definitely think it's an upgrade. And Cats, I was showing a graphic earlier, and I don't know if you heard me, but Kentucky's the only program that signed 3 guys out of the portal, transfers out of the portal with a 95 ranking or higher: Momcilovic, Wilkins, and Zoom Diallo. No other team has done that this year. So all those times that people on Twitter or even myself or even people in the chat has really been on Pope for whiffing or not cooking, he was really doing his thing. And, I don't think he was given enough credit, but hats off to Pope for kind of ignoring the noise and coaching his team, going about his business. And it's things like this that, and I know some of you that are on the show every week that are watching, I've talked about it, how when Pope started going to these live NCAA recruiting periods for high school kids, there was multiple people on Twitter saying, why is he recruiting 27 and 8? He ain't going to be here. He ain't going to be here. Blah, 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 that kind of thing. And this is why you do it. He's put together a good enough roster that's probably solidified another year. And if he makes the Sweet 16, he's contracted another year. That's why you don't listen to the Twitter coaches. He's coaching his team, and from the looks of it, he's doing a pretty good job, a lot better job than what we've given him credit for. And I say we, not necessarily me and you, but I'm talking about we as in the fan base as a whole. But, based on what I see from this roster, I kind of like what I see. I think we got depth. If we were to have foul trouble at the 1, we've got backup point guards that can play that spot. Last year we kind of got in a bad spot when Lowe got hurt, and we had to kind of shift around, move around. I think Owe played some 1. I think Denzel Aberdeen stuck at the 1. So I definitely like this. I like this roster. I think Pope's done a good job putting together a roster. Plenty of depth at 3 and 4. I just worry about what's behind Zoom and Wilkins if, Lord forbid, one gets. We're not talking about that tonight, but Jerome Morton can handle his own at the 1 or the 2. But also, you got to forget, Zoom and Wilkins have both played the point before. So if one has foul trouble, you can always move Wilkins to the point. If Zoom's in foul trouble, you can move Cam down to the 2, put Hawthorne in at the 3. McBride can play the 3, it looks like. So this roster has a lot of different options. Mason Williams is also, he can play the 1. I don't know if he won't be, obviously, if he's down in the reserves. He's not going to be your first guy off the bench. But Mason Williams may get some time this year. He's a 4-star guard whose dad is a coach. He's a gym rat. He was playing Division I basketball this year before he came to Kentucky. So 4-star out of high school. He's definitely skilled. So I think with time, he's going to be really good. Allen says, Mason Williams, there you go. We've actually got 4 point guards on the roster. I just got frustrated with Aberdeen because he was just a scoring guard. He liked to get his shot. He liked to penetrate too much. He liked to, I think he liked to dribble, and I don't think he looked to pass until at all cost. You know what I'm saying? Like when he exuberated all other options and he couldn't get a shot, then he decided to pass. In my opinion, he liked to dribble, 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 dribble. He liked to tom the basketball. A lot of old people used to call it tom-tomming. Quit tom-tomming the basketball. Milan's already changed his Twitter. He's got at Kentucky men's basketball in the in his bio or his thing at the top. So that's always great. That seems he's excited. So I know he also has the same agency that 4 other cats have. So right, I'm not getting. No, I'm just saying he was forced to play out of position. I think he had a level of toughness and that some of our guys didn't have. But him playing, I think I would have went other directions at the point than him. I think I'd rather had Oweh at the point than Aberdeen. Honestly, maybe I wouldn't have. I don't know. That statement I can get behind. We definitely don't have any small guards anymore. We're all Morton 6'4", Diallo 6'4", Wilkins 6'5". Hawthorne's been labeled as a guard by some. I'd say more of a wing. He's 6'9". Mason Williams is even 6'4", or 6'2". I mean, we've got good size. I wouldn't say we're small at any position really. It's nuts. So I like that graphic that Dylan put out. Honestly, Big Blue Dylan is really good with recruiting too. He's had a lot of the information the last couple of days too. Has been really good about putting it out. If you remember, he was the one that had the information. I think it was last week or so that a lot of people put out, and he said that Mom Chilovich had been in contact with St. John's or whatever. And a lot of people said he hadn't, and kind of proved him wrong. And a lot of people had to go back and delete their tweets. And yeah, that's true. Jackson, same type situation, but yeah, Jackson had at least played the point, and I definitely think Aberdeen was one of our better defenders. I'm just telling you, he had a level of toughness. He would defend, that's for sure. He would defend. There's no doubt in my mind. This is a true statement too. Not a better right here. Not a better guy to shoot the ball in the clutch in Aberdeen. He was not scared of the moment. He was not scared of the moment at all. You got him, big boy. You got him. He was playing in the NBA, or he got drafted, or tried. Somebody gave him a shot out or something. I mean, gave him a shot of doing something. So I'm not real sure. That's not true. Hampton was never going to reclassify. he's already told everybody that he's in the class of 27. So, even if we didn't get Momcilovic, he wasn't going to. We weren't going to fill a roster spot with Ryan Hampton this year. Jax is still in the okay, good. I hope he gets to play some in the summer league this year. I'm going to Vegas in July, so I'm hoping to catch some summer league games. He's visiting now because it appears we're getting ahead of the curve in recruiting for Hampton. We've been on Hampton for a while. I mean, we've definitely prioritized Ryan Hampton, and his dad seems to like Kentucky. His dad seems to like Pope, and I think it's obvious that so does he. So that's always good. Something I'm excited about, honestly. You know, that some of these young players are excited about Kentucky or excited about having Pope coach them, but I'm hoping they like the system he runs, and that's something that they're excited about. I will say some of the bad habits Pope has had with recruiting have been changing as of late. Building a relationship with recruits early is one of those big things they're improving on. Yeah, and I think that's one of the things you have to do. I think kids care about those relationships. And I think that's why you saw Pope and them go fishing with Rosser and do some of those things to get to know those kids off the court. I know relationship building it's key in the education profession as far as teaching. It also helps at the high school level with coaching, because these kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's probably true in a lot of situations. I don't know how quick we'll get a class of 27 commitment. I think the first couple ones we'll look at are Hampton and Rosser. I think both of those guys will commit quick. I think we're in good shape with both. Yeah, I do too. A lot of people are predicting Pope gets a top 3 recruiting class in 27. So that's always nice. The last I heard I saw a picture on, I think, was it, and it's not Denzel, it's Aberdeen's your favorite player. I called him Denzel one night. You can't call him Denzel Aberdeen. Is it Denzel? Yeah, I called him Denzel Washington. My bad. I know who you're talking about, Aberdeen and Strack. I'd heard they were. You all got me so confused. The last I saw on Strack's Instagram, she had a picture of them two together, but I don't know. I'm curious to see what Aberdeen does now, because I don't think he's going to be eligible at Florida, or I've not heard anything saying he is. His waiver is currently pending. It says that Todd Golden and his staff are currently fighting for this waiver. So that's what we talk about. I really like the depth too. I really think we got depth at each position to where foul trouble isn't going to be a big issue. I think Clara Strack kind of reminds me of that tall blonde that plays for the Sparks. Brink. Is that her name? Brink? Brink. Yeah, they say their Final Four good. Of course, that'll be wait to be seen. You know, the SEC on the girls' side's really deep and tough too, but Kenny Brooks is killing it. Kenny Brooks, Will Stein. Hey, throw Mark Pope in there. Throw Mark Pope in there. She had a couple good games early, but I'm not gonna lie, she's been struggling. Actually, coming back off the injury and kind of rehabbing all last year, I expected her to be doing a little bit better than what she's doing. But she's struggling right now. I think last game she had maybe 1 point, 1 rebound, 1 assist, or maybe not last game, but one of the last few games. Definitely throw Pope in there in the mix now. I remember the first time you told me that, I thought you were talking about Rich Brooks. We've got our sources there with binoculars, just trying to catch a glimpse and see if we can get some video footage from on the scene. Trying to get something from on the scene. Don't really know yet, though. No, we're only going with one AD gadget. Only going with one, I think they decided. Or no. You're right. You're right. Or are they going with one or two? We talked about this, and I can't remember now. Yeah, I thought they backed off the two as well. But we talked about that so many times I couldn't remember. Hey, if you're new here, I'm 4 from 700 subscribers. So if you're new here, give me a subscribe. Please like the show. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, that's right. Last thing I heard, they're going to have multiple. That's right. She's just not having a very good year. I mean, the game I watched, the Mystics play, she didn't shoot the ball extremely well. Not for sure who they're going with. That was the name that they said early on. I don't know if that's the name that they've talked about, recently. Not real sure, honestly. I think I want the Spurs to win. I think I want the Spurs to win. And Keldon played really well last game. I like De'Aaron Fox. Wemby's played really well. Not that I'm not a fan of Karl Anthony Towns, because I am, but I'd rather two cats get a ring than one. They'll definitely have somebody ready for I think they'll definitely have somebody ready when it's Barnhart's time to go. Man, is Jalen Brunson tough or what? Is Jalen Brunson tough or what? A lot of people rooting for the Knicks and Karl Anthony Towns. That's good to see. Yeah, the 2015 Cats had some bad luck there against Wisconsin in that Final Four game with the shot clock violation that wasn't called. Yep, June 30th, I believe you're right. July 1st, new one takes over, which I'm curious to see. Yeah, I think that was a legit concern too. I really believe that they wanted Mitch, after that offer that deal they tried to make him. I thought they wanted to kind of keep him involved, and how better way to do it than hiring somebody that he has a connection with. But I think from everything I've seen and heard that that's probably not going to happen, just from the simple fact that um, you keep hearing a lot of different names pop up that aren't really affiliated with Kentucky. I think they're looking to go outside. Um, all right, I'm starting to get tired here. That youth ball camp wears me out every year, guys. Those little kids got way more energy than I've got. They got way more energy than I ever had. Definitely 100%. We don't need any connection to the Mitch era. Let's get him out. I remember Ewing, yeah, but I remember at dunk John Starks had when he went baseline. I remember jumping up out of my seat like I felt good. Because I wasn't a Bulls fan, so whoever was playing the Bulls, I tend to like. Um, so, you know, man, I was going strong there for a while, but I've hit like a ton of bricks. Crap. That's funny. That's funny. Oh, shoot. That's the name you've heard, but I've not heard his name mentioned in a while. I'm not saying it's not, but write him up, Crash. Write him up. Write him up. Write him up. Write him up. Yeah, because I think it happened so late tonight. Some of them were already in bed. I really do believe so. Madison Heat. I remember back when Mashburn was a Mav with Jason Kidd, Dirk Nowitzki, and yeah, I've not heard a lot. They haven't even been in the show like they normally are. I was always a Celtics fan. I'm still a Celtics fan. I don't. Louisville fans didn't even want to. They didn't even want Momchilovich. He couldn't even start for them. Couldn't even start for them. Kentucky actually has the second rated portal class overall now behind Louisville. Louisville has 1 5-star, 4 4-stars, and 1 3-star. Kentucky has 1 5-star, 3 4-star, and 2 3-star. So basically, Louisville's a 29.72, and Kentucky's a 29.19. Tennessee's a 29.15. So I've got like 900 stories here that all have Momchilovich on it. All right, guys. I'm tired. I've got to get up early tomorrow for youth camp. I started late because I wasn't about to not do a show tonight for you guys after the big announcement. And yeah, we definitely retained a lot better than what they brought back. So I definitely like where we stand, especially with that game being at Rupp. Basically, us getting Momchilovich just means that all their intel and stuff they tried to pass off this past weekend just kind of proves that they were wrong. But appreciate you guys. Be sure to like the show on your way out. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. And probably have another show here towards the end of the week. But as always, CATS, 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 cats. Go Cats.